Come on, come on. All right. Cool. Like that, look at Sensei Boga Simpson just tune in, link in there, look at.
Sensei Winston.
Yeah.
Hi, Winston. What's going on?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
All right, it's nice seeing you. Nice seeing you.
Yeah, it's nice seeing this man here too. I mean, his age is, it's been a lot of years.
All right, folks, we are about to start the comfort zone.
Get out of your comfort zone. In life there will be challenges, testing whether you weak or strong. So don't let obstacles deter you. Just shake up yourself and move on, I tell you. Out of your comfort zone. You know that life is a mixture of the good, the bad and ugly. So don't stress yourself over issues that won't change your reality, I tell you. Out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have greatness in you. Yes, you have greatness in you. I know that you have greatness in you. Oh, oh, oh. You have greatness in you.
Yes, Pablo, it's all yours.
Yes, Brother John, thank you very much. As the song says, you have greatness in you. And I have a number of people who have demonstrated that they have greatness in them. They are the guests on the Comfort Zone this afternoon. This is Raphael, Paul, Pablo. Back with you again for this week's Comfort Zone. It's the 15th edition. We missed last week. We're very sorry about that. But we are back with you this week. And we're happy to say that Brother John Calise is back with us again. And he has overcome the better part of the physical challenge that he had to deal with. And we praise and thank God for all of that. Gem FM, based in Canada. Raphael Paul, Comfort Zone, sitting here on Diamond Street in the beautiful Sunset City. With not much sun today, we've been getting quite a bit of rain. Yeah, and that's in St. Mark, and I just want to remind those who may have heard about it before and those who haven't heard about it before about the St. Mark COVID-19 essay competition. That's open to all St. Mark students, okay? And we're giving some prizes for second and third prizes for essay competition. And we have 3 categories, 7 to 9-year-old, 10 to 12, and 13 to 15-year-olds. And we're looking to give a bit of money and tablet for the first 3 prizes, and every other participant are going to get a token. This weekend, Friday the 20th, is going to be the deadline for submissions. And then after that, we have the assessors looking at it. So we're looking to give the prizes sometime in December. And if you can contribute, please do so. You can reach me 417-7666. You can reach Mr. Colbristol at 418-0382, 418-0382, and myself 417-7666. Host of teachers involved in that, Miss Carol Ellis, Tikima Paul, Osil Charles, and Shad Noel. They are involved in this endeavor. And so that's about it. I just wanted to do that little announcement before we get into the comfort zone, the real deal, the conversation today. And I have this one little clip that I want to play before we get started, just take a short break here with a song by Scholar. Yeah. You know that song, Clip My Wings? That's one of my favorites from Scholar, Clip My Wings. So if Brother John gets that line up here, we take a short break with Clip My Wings, and I will be back with the comfort zone for today, and I'll tell you who we shall be speaking with. So, Brother John, you just get that short break. We are going to take one verse and one chorus of it, and we'll be right back with you. of my affliction. There's one thing I have to say. My wings, but I will never stay down. Yeah, I need no wings to fly. I don't need no wings to fly. I will rise. But I don't need no wings to fly.
It could not contain their happiness. Plan executed, mission accomplished. To clip my wings. Oh, they clip my wings. 7 titles, that was a mistake. That they swear never again to make. They clip my wings. Ah, they clip my wings. Now they cut me down and trim my gun. All their sins will go unchecked. While they squeeze and squash the middle class, no one will break down their neck. No more wings, no more opposition. So they put tax us into oblivion. Cause they know that no Calypsonian would make a song. But they're wrong. I don't need no wings to fly. Not I. Anytime they come with the tomfoolery, I will be on top of the game. I don't need no
Wings to fly.
Right back to you, sir.
Yes, I don't need no wings to fly. And one of the reasons why I chose to play that song today is because we are here as a consequence of a man who doesn't need no wings to fly. The man who authored the book, The Energy of GOUYAVE. His name is, well, I have some titles for him here today. He is the martial artist, he is the coach, he is the author, and some others that I can't insert here right now. Is FITZGERALD NAKA Craig. And he's with us again this week as we speak about the energy of GOUYAVE and its martial arts history. Because in that book, The Energy of GOUYAVE, it deals with sports and sporting icons that have come up from GOUYAVE over the years. And it's a book, well, we'll get into that a bit more. I don't even want to mention the word right now. But along with him, we have Sensei Michael Mai Sutherland, well-known martial artist. In fact, he was the first martial arts sensei in GOUYAVE and probably in Grenada. Anyway, we'll get to that too. We have Sensei Winston Simpson, a man that I sit on school bench with in primary school. And I didn't even know that the man had, aspired to this high level. So I tell you, I'm in the company of greatness here this afternoon. And then we have Sensei Celestine Oliver, another man. Although we come out in Vasco in the back street and so on and so forth. And we are expecting Master Gregory Dabrio, another man from Vasco, another GOUYAVE man, another backstreet man, and so on. So that is our team for this afternoon on the comfort zone. And as I said, we are here as a consequence of that book, the energy of God. But before I get into the man himself, I want to start with those people that I haven't seen and haven't spoken with for a long time, because this man, he's in my ears 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a day sometimes, you know. So I want to speak with Sensei Michael Mae Sutherland. Good afternoon, Sensei Michael Mae Sutherland. Welcome to the comfort zone. It's a pleasure to have you. Our paths haven't crossed in that way in quite some time. Good afternoon and welcome.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you. It's been a pleasure being here.
Yes. And Sensei Winston Simpson. Good afternoon to you, sir. Man from Florida. Hello, good afternoon.
Muted.
Muted. Could you please unmute, sir? Yeah. Sensei Winston, could you unmute your mic, please? Because we can't hear you. We can't hear you when you speak presently. You are still muted. Okay, right. Okay. So good afternoon to you, Sensei Winston Simpson.
Yeah, good evening to every one of you. And it's so long I haven't seen anybody, about 40-something years right now, man.
Yes, it's been a long time. I wonder if you remember that face. I wonder if you remember this individual that's speaking here.
To be honest with you, I'm trying to, and I'm not.
Eh?
I will have to refresh my mind.
Yeah, Raphael Paul and Chester Paul.
Yes, I know it, and I just can't picture.
Yeah, but you get to it. And then we have with us also Sensei Celestine Oliver. Well, that's a man I see because, you know, we come from the backstreet in GOUYAVE, and then right in Sunset City here, we neighbors, you know, sort of, when he's in Grenada. So, good afternoon to you, Sensei Celestine Oliver.
Yeah, don't mute that mic.
Mic is muted. Your mic is muted.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Well, we're not any strangers per se, because we grew up in Vasco together. And
yes, man.
You moved to Victoria, and I'm right on the next.
And you're right next door to me, right? Okay. Yes. So that's my team and the man himself, martial artist, coach, author. What again? That's the three I could put here for now, you know. FITZGERALD, NAKA, Joseph. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon to you all. And Rastaman, Pablo. You have so many names. I don't even know which one to call right now. But thanks for having me along with the illustrious martial artists. I mean, I know a lot of people, you know, listening into this program this afternoon would be very much amazed at the level that the martial artists who practiced back then, everybody thought we were joking around. As the martial artists explain themselves, you know, people will realize that the level they have reached over the years. Thanks for having us again. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, they've really reached some levels, and I wasn't aware that, you know, that we have so much, you know, so much power in the place. And because even going through the book, the part on martial arts and so, there's so many other men who have attained to the black belt level in this art form, you know, and we get to that part of it a little in a short bit. All right. Now, there's a clip that I need Brother John to play from, because I want to start with you, Coach. Before I go to the others, I want to really emphasize the significance, not just of the conversation we have in here, but the documentation that has taken place, right? And in order to make that point, I need Brother John to play that clip for me. It's a clip that I call Archives. And let's just hear what that clip has to say, right? That clip, Archives. So if Brother John could bring that in for me, let's get that conversation going and let's put this whole conversation in perspective here this evening. So, Brother John, you can bring it on as you have it fixed, archives. And I think that's the only clip you'll be hearing. All
It
the rest
appears
of
that
it will be
throughout
up to
our
you,
program,
senseis.
well, and from previous programs,
Really,
the whole
yes.
issue of documenting and archiving our history came up. And then in speaking to you, I realized that over the years, you spent quite a deal in archiving and documenting things on your own. And in fact, we're seeing right behind you there, if I can get a bigger picture there, of all those photos, and some of them actually from the 70s, I believe, because it looks as some of them are actually black and white. And then there are those with just when it just became color, moving from black and white into color. But it's interesting that you found some time to actually put together your own archive. The conversation continues, Goti, on a sports museum, archiving and documenting our sporting history. You have started. What you hoping to see come out of that?
The truth, what I start and what I like and what is me. And for you and the people who did it, it costs money. I mean, it's because they might have been able to afford to do that. What if, let's look at this thing is a business. You look at TV and all sort of things. I don't have what it takes. I don't have the knowledge or whatever it is to act. I do what this because I like. Way back when, I could remember everybody talking about archiving and doing what. There has to be, and it has to be a foundation formed. If you can get the person, it has to be somebody with the expertise at doing that writing or whatever it is, or compile. This is not, I put up a few pictures because I like that as me. What you would need if you put in up them, you need to get authentic stuff and make sure authentic pictures are easy to get. The problem is the stories with it. You know, I just talking off on my head. A lot of people might disagree with me, that ain't true. But I have anything you discuss with me, I'm sure I send you something that you could authenticate it.
So now this was a recording that I did coming out of a program held by one of our top sportscasters, or one of our top sports journalists. He was in conversation with Goti Robinson, the well-known athlete for many years, and sports administrator Goti Robinson. And you heard that conversation. The conversation was about archiving. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to play that clip, because we're speaking about at the national level, the complexities and the inability of the people at that level to do the quality of archiving that is needed in order to safeguard, to record, to document things that have happened in the field of sports. And we talk about sports tourism and all those kind of things. We've built 2 big stadiums and so, and I don't know, why is it, you heard Goti say, there's been all this talk about archiving over the years. You hear this sportscaster speaking about the need for archiving. And Goti is talking about the challenges that come with it. You have to set up a foundation and so. And here you have one man in GOUYAVE being able to put an archive such as the energy of GOUYAVE, that documentation and what it is as it encompasses. How many sports coach? Can you tell us how many sports are encompassed in that book?
I think it's 21
how long that book has been out, what you hear Gotti Robinson speak about, you have to have money and you have to have this and you have to have that and so on. And the interesting thing is, if anyone was to see the live from that, you would see the comments that are being made by people in the shout box referencing what this gentleman has done and how it can serve as an example, right? How it can become the model for how you treat with the documentation of these works going forward. So, Coach, just speak to us a little bit about, the energy of GOUYAVE and, all of those things that were raised in that clip. Just address that within the context of the energy of GOUYAVE for us.
All right. You hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. So the energy of GOUYAVE really is a book, like you say, put together of 21 sporting disciplines that we played in the parish over a period of time, let's say from about 1948 to present. And it could go a little bit beyond that because there were tennis played at the Home for the Age, that's the McIntyre residence. There are court and there were courts next to most of the great houses. So I think tennis would have came here since in the 1800s. But much locals were not playing at the time. But be that as it may, what Gotti is saying there in terms of putting the information together, it's not something that one set out to do. I mean, I never really set out to do something like that, really. How I stumble into it, maybe like how I stumble into starting to do martial arts in the same way, you observe things and you try to practice and you do things like that. But I just thought that there were a number of people, not only within GOUYAVE per se, but within the country that have done tremendous things, and for some reason or not, people just was not paying heed to it because sports is something that people looked at as something that you do when you can do well academically. And that is how the society has been fashioned for a number of years. And if you look at it, it took like the University of the West Indies, which was responsible for shaping the society academically and otherwise. It took them about 69 years before they really start to focus on sports and sports sciences and saw the importance of sports, because sports in itself, in a lot of ways, does not deal with the accumulation of the knowledge that you have, like you read and you study and then you sort of regurgitate. But it deals with a higher level of intelligence that does not come from your memory. And to understand that, is sort of baffling to me, because when I look down on guys like Peter Ponga, for instance, and a man who was not academically inclined, but yet still what he did and what he could practically show you how to do that thing, it sort of baffled me, because I knew that he didn't read that no way, he had no television, no way, so where was that coming from? So based on all what I told you, I said there, I just thought that maybe I should put something together. And with the added pressures that hit me when I was doing the basketball, where nobody wasn't covering, I wasn't getting any media attention, so much pressures in terms of getting the sport going. I just thought maybe, you know what, I should try and put something together. So at the end of the day, even though I'm not wrong, like most of us wouldn't be, at least the next generation would have something to look at or read at, and knew that there were people here who would not only compete locally, but would compete with the rest of the world, because we have what it takes. So it is there the journey sort of started. I put the first book together, which was the basketball book. It still didn't catch on in any serious way. But when I did the piece on the energy of GOUYAVE, then it sort of catch on. And like Gotti was saying, it's a costly exercise. I mean, it's a lot of dollars to do it. Fortunately for me, though, the amount of help that I got from the people in GOUYAVE, and sometimes you have to work where you really have help, because if I was doing a book on Grenade, I tell you, I have some serious challenges. But working in GOUYAVE, I could just call Pressy. I say, Pressy, I need something. He say, okay, you'll get that next couple weeks. Pressy say, I call Winston. SENSEI, I say, I need that. But once I call SENSEI Sutherland, he say, okay, no problem. I call Master. So I have information coming to me from because these are people that we grew up with and people that are new. And added to that, my nephew who lives out in Canada, he has the skill to sort of put that stuff together, computer and stuff and organize the thing. So he did that and we get the funding necessary and he put the book together. But it's not so much an easy job. I think Gotti is right in a way, but if you happen to find yourself in the right place at the right time, I think you will get it done.
Well, like most things in life,
yes, sure.
Nothing is really easy.
Well,
So we come back to you shortly. I want to move
sure.
on now to Sensei Michael Sutherland. We see that it said that you started this art form somewhere around 18. And prior to that, you had been involved in some wrestling with people like like Alwyn Ferguson and Oliver Barito and so on. And you transitioned into martial arts after coming across Sensei Joseph, Anthony Cecil Joseph. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what made martial arts become your thing? Because in the book there, it also mentioned that you claim that you have been born for this.
Well, I'll tell you this. Growing up in a small place like GOUYAVE, right, you have limited outlet as far as you want to do. You go to school, you go on the street and hang out and get yourself in a whole bunch of trouble. Well, that was not necessarily my path. So a couple guys like Alwyn Ferguson, Oliver Barito, myself, Calvin Fletcher, we got together and we got some board and stuff, built up some benches, get some old battery, melt it down, make some lead, and make some weightlifting plates and stuff. And we started doing weightlifting and stuff. Young boys, that's the adolescent age, you're physically involved in different things.
Getting out the energy.
And then, he had Moe that was big in bodybuilding and stuff. He used to come by and teach us some stuff as far as that is concerned. We used to learn to wrestle. We used to learn any kind of fighting thing. And you have to remember also that at that time, you started to have martial arts movie coming into the theaters.
Right.
So, you had those crazy Wang Yu movies, and kind of stuff. And then when the Shaolin movies start coming in, you started to see techniques and the movie was in such a way that you could literally comprehend what was going on. So a lot of us used to get together in the RC school and go around the place and, we're training, just young boys, we try to be fit and strong and, bad. Then one day, like we were in the school training, and then Cecil Joseph, Zaffa, he came by, he saw us working out and thing, and he kind of liked the idea that, we were being constructive. One thing about Sensei Cecil is that he has always been a very constructive guy. And if you know the family, since you've been standing there, you would know that he's always a serious kind of guy. And he said, listen, man, I do martial arts and this is what it is, Shotokan Karate, and I could introduce you guys to that and all kind of thing. And he started right there by saying, okay, and he took us through some paces, explained to us the different things of forms and all that. Now, personally, he lent me a book called Karate do Koyohan by Gishin Funakoshi. And that book was referred to primarily as the Bible of Shotokan Karate.
Okay.
And I started to put some time into that book. I go down to Palm early in the morning, late at night, running up to Victoria and down, training, learning the katas and stuff. And we organized a dojo from that. But the thing about it is, and I just kind of segue a little bit here, because I want to say something. And in addition to congratulating the coach for putting this book together and really, really documenting all of these things, it's a labor of love, And I don't know if he intended to, or it was a bit of a Freudian thing. He called it the energy of GOUYAVE. Not the history of sports in GOUYAVE primarily, but the energy of GOUYAVE. Now, the way I view that, in my mind, it goes back to where we started and how we started and the thing that drives us and motivated us to be, to take this martial arts thing into a long thing. Even now you have Sensei Winston in Trinidad, still carrying on the legacy. You have Master Gregory, who went to Japan. You have Sensei Celestine, who who went to Japan, and all these guys have taken it way beyond where I even thought of going. You know, they trained with the real thing. So the going back to this energy of GOUYAVE thing, it's a GOUYAVE thing. You know, when you say the energy of GOUYAVE, I don't see the book so much as a historical documentation. I see it as a tribute to a place called GOUYAVE. There's something about GOUYAVE that if you meet a GOUYAVE man anywhere, as soon as he's talking and he tells you from Grenada, you know what you end up saying? You're from GOUYAVE, boy. Because you know what? There is something about GOUYAVE that drives people. It makes you tough. It makes you resilient. And people, you know, look at the things, look what we produce. And that is only the sport aspect, you know. Maybe the coach might decide to put the academics.
Yes.
Maybe the coach might put something towards the academics.
Oh, yeah.
2 governor generals, etc. And we could go down the line, sports, gold medals, all that kind of thing. So GOUYAVE, there is something about GOUYAVE that anybody that starts something tend to have the drive to take it. And you can see all the historical data that's compiled in that book substantiates that, to show that look at where we started. Look at how we started to train. We used to train in the old RC school down in the old theater down the street. Rain used to fall and we had to line up between the rain. You understand? We used to look for gravel outside to go knuckle push-ups. You know, and we didn't even realize, I said I didn't realize at that point so much in time that the level that we had attained was pretty on par with what's out there.
Okay.
Because, I mean, after I migrated to the United States, I did a little taekwondo with Master Young Sudu. And he ended up getting killed right in his dojo. Somebody passed by and just shot him right in the dojo. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But I did some taekwondo there. And when you come up against that, you realize that, okay, I'm bringing this and I'm thinking I'm coming from the small island, you know, I ain't got nothing too much. And then you realize, hey, you know, I have something. And, you know, I heard other guys say the same thing. I heard Dave Cowan say the same thing when he went into a taekwondo class when he came up here. You know, he was on par. You know, I guess people like Sensei Celestine and Sensei Winston and them could say that, you know, when they left Grenada and they gone in different places. Because we were graded by Purple Dragon. And that was one of the schools that I traveled to Trinidad to participate in one of the tournaments down there. And you know, you get to see how you stack up against the outside people. But it's that energy of GOUYAVE, I think, that drove me. I have the GOUYAVE blood in me. And anybody that from GOUYAVE that put their mind to something, I just have the feeling that it'll push it forward.
Great. Wonderful. Brother Winston Simpson. You traveled to Trinidad. You started your martial arts career here. Mae just spoke about what it was like for him and the experience and the quality and the standard that had been attained here before migrating. Was it the same for you? And in the book, it's mentioned specifically about your introduction to Earl Barrett in November 1978. Can you go on to tell us why that was significant and what role that would have played in your martial arts career?
Okay, thank you again for having me, and I'll explain a little bit how this come about. Let me tell you something. The quality that you passed on to us, I believe when I came over to Trinidad in 75, I really went to look for Don Jacob, and then what I saw I didn't like, so I stayed around home for a little while. I met a friend of mine here named Ralph, and he was doing some Shotokan and a little mixture of whatever, but he had good qualities, and I started to train with him for a little while, and then he introduced me to Sensei Douglas. That's about a year after. A year in 75, maybe 77, I started to train with Sensei Douglas. I realized he had good qualities. I said, okay, let me start training with you for a while because I didn't like what Don Jacob had. To be honest, up to now, I don't like what he had. I continued with Sensei Douglas for about 3 to 4 years, doing some taekwondo, some little mixture, but he's sticking with the Shotokan, and I really love my Shotokan. So he started to do some things that I didn't like. When you starting to interfere with your students, I don't like that. So I told my brother, who was training with him at the time too, I said, look, I feel you're going to start my own class, because I don't want no police asking me no questions. And I decided one day, well, that I had enough. I'm going to go and I started training in my backyard here. One day, a friend of mine who had a tournament invited me to a tournament. I had about 4 or 5 kids training with me. I took the tournament there, and man, we rip up everything inside of it.
Okay.
Don nephew was in there, and we rip him up apart too. So I continue, and one day Don was having a demonstration a weekend, 1988, and I saw a guy there by the name of Mario Arthur, American guy, but I didn't know who the guy was. I seen him doing a kata, but the execution of the kata surprised me because in those days, me and my brother used to do a lot of kicking. I mean, NAKA could tell you that. Everything for us was kick. And I saw this guy do something, and I said, no, I must know this guy before he leave wherever he come from. So right after he finished warming up, I went down in the back and I smoked him. And since then to now, this is the honest person I train with outside of Sensei Douglas. Mr. Barrett came along with Sensei Douglas because they used to train together by Sensei Jarrett, who used to do Koikushien Kai. But Mr. Barrett is something like NAKA. He likes to write a lot. He knows his stuff, but we kind of part ways for unknown reasons to me. I don't know what it is. So right now, I don't know why, and I don't really.
That is not significant.
Not at this point in time.
True.
I right now I have, well, because of the situation with COVID, I kind of hold off on classes for a while because this is a concern that everybody should have. You don't know what's outside there. I don't want to take that down for me. I don't want to get it. I don't want to get the kids taking them back home to their grandparents and things like that.
Okay.
One thing I could say though, I really miss Rashi. Dabrio. Now, to be honest with you, I was really planning to come home August, go on here. And then this thing come and happen, man, and it just threw me off.
Okay.
I've been training for a while for the year. I mean, just doing little things here and there. But I really miss GOUYAVE. Let me put it that way. I really miss GOUYAVE. I miss home a lot. I don't know if as I get older, I started to miss it a little more too.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
It's the energy, man. The energy.
And you are at what level right now?
Right now, I'm a 5th degree black belt.
A 5th degree black belt. Okay. Brother Celestine Oliver, Sensei Celestine Oliver.
Thank you.
Let the people know something about Sensei Celestine Oliver. And we see in the book mention is made of your connection with the Paris brothers. If you can tell us a bit about that as you reintroduce yourself.
Well, thank you, Ray, for having me on the show. Well, and thank you, NAKA, for recognizing, the thing that we all have been through. It's just as a kid growing up, we all was tied together and we continue being that way. Okay. I can't remember exactly what year I started, but I remember going to Shaper School. That and playing soccer, playing cricket. But when I got introduced to martial art through Sensei Mai, I had loved that sport so much that my parents give me the money to go to school, to pay the bus to go to Shaper School. I will take that money and walk to school and pay for the dojo.
Okay.
So from then on, I get hooked on that.
Okay.
And Naka and I, we used to play. Well, Naka was, we all doing he was still into the basketball, and I was into soccer, but sports was my thing. So eventually, I get hooked into the karate through SENSEI Mai, and carry on from there. So I'm a little foggy of a lot of things that happened back then because it's a way back.
Yeah, I know.
But I remember I used to go to, there was a store in St. George's that used to have it, I don't know if it's, can't know if it's everybody's store, but it was a grocery store, and they used to have martial art books there. So I used to go to the store and get the martial art books and look at it and look at the different techniques, the instructors. And I decided with W and I, that's correct, that we should make a move and go over to America.
Okay.
So I wrote to the school and I got a reply from the instructor. And we decided we're going to make up our own papers, saying that they invited us to come to a session, a tournament. We make I don't know, you guys, all everybody know Do Laugh. So you help me.
Do Laugh. Yes, man.
And I took that and I went to Barbados. That time, Trek, I think he said he changed his mind, but I had my sisters in New York. So I said, I'm going through with it. So when I went to Barbados, the guy who interviewed me, he was giving me a hard time, didn't want to give me the visa. And I said, no way, I'm not leaving here without that visa. And from SENSEI Mai, we knew a couple of Japanese tongues. I could have come from 1 to 10. And I said, listen, this is what I know. I could come to you in Japanese tongue, I'm not a fake. And he said, you know something? Let me give you a try. He gave me a visa for 3 weeks to come to America. When I get to America, that year was in 1981.
Hold on. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
1981.
All right, and so we'll talk later. Come here, go get something to eat. Okay. Bye.
Brother John, what's happening here?
Is everything okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so when I came up, my sister, I went to see the instructor, and they signed me up for 6 months because they know how much I wanted to do karate. And after the 3 weeks, I went back to the American embassy, and they gave me a 6 month extension. So within that 6 months, I was fortunate that instructor happened to be a student of someone I used to read about in this karate book, was Master Masoyama. And he used to do the style Koyoko Shinkai, which is very similar to Shotokan, but it was more like a 50-50, 50% using your hands and 50% using your legs. So since I was short, small, I decided, I didn't have a Shotokan instructor, which was close to where I was living. So I signed up for the 6 months of Koyoko Shinkai. And with the determination I had from Grenada, I trained every single day, morning and evening. In the morning, going jogging, going to work, formal work, going to the class in the evening. And that's what I was doing for that 6 months. When the 6 months expired, I went back to the embassy again and they gave me another 6 months. So within that 6 months, the instructor see how much I was progressing. He decided that I think the tournament in Japan was coming up right around the time. He decided to put me on. And mind you, I came back, when I came from Grenada, I came up as a black belt, but I start over from the beginning because it was a different style. And my determination in 1983, yeah, I was selected to go to Japan.
Okay.
So it was, and I think a year after that, well, within that time, Masoyama used to come over in the summer because this guy he's one of his students. So I used to get direct instruction from Masoyama, which is somebody I had read about.
Okay.
You know, so it was like a big, big thing for me to knowing that I read about that person and happened to be training under that person. Going to Japan, it was, I mean, you couldn't, I don't know how to express it. It's unbelievable. It's because I've seen things that I never thought it was actually practical to do. You know, even the breaking stunts, breaking baseball bats with a shin. You know, at my size, I could have still done it because of the determination in your mind, determination, the things that you could do, and all come back from the beginning, from SENSEI, from NAKA. Sometime in the morning when we were training at NAKA, I see NAKA, I don't feel to walk out this morning. On the door, 6 o'clock in the morning, get up, time to go jogging, you know? And that's what it come up to. But what happened in about 5 years or 6 years after that, I fell on a bicycle and injured my back. So I couldn't train as I should, and that's what caused me to slow down.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. But
so how far did you go? We have
well, I stopped at first degree black belt. I was good enough to be a second degree black belt. Okay. You know, but the belt was not a big deal for me. Knowing I just wanted to enjoy the martial art. And I used to go out and teach classes for my instructor because he had other classes, you know, in the other bars. So I used to go out and help him teach the classes. So it really was a good trip, and all started back from the beginning, from Mai and chicken, which you didn't mention, but all started back from then, and never looked back from there.
From that time,
still programming to me. Still programming.
Still programming to
Let's see a martial art, a guy doing martial art. I mean, I was sitting in front of the TV because everything just coming back. And right now, my granddaughter, she is into martial art right now. So and she's doing very, very good. She's doing tournaments and taking first place and things like that. So it's going to carry on.
All right. Coach NAKA, the energy of GOUYAVE. One of the first pictures we see that you have in that section of the book is a photo of one called Johnny Madrid. And in it you said that Johnny was sent to Grenada or came to Grenada to Johnny Madrid was sent to Grenada to spread the art. Who was Johnny Madrid and who would have sent him and why would he have come at the time that he did?
SENSEI Sutherland have the background on that. Let's squeeze him.
All right.
The information come from him to me.
Okay.
So
SENSEI Sutherland, see that you're right here. You might have to take it from there. All right.
Take him,
Well, no, what happened is, like I told you, SENSEI Zafar or Cecil Joseph, when he came down and he was in Grenada for like about a short period of time, like 2 weeks. So he got us started with a few classes with him, and then, like I said, he let me use the book for the 2 weeks while he was there.
Okay.
Now, when he went back to Antigua, a little while after that, I guess a couple of months or so, we had this guy come down. He had like a funny eye and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
Johnny Madrid, right?
Yes, I remember him.
And he came down and he said that he's coming down from Antigua and he was supposed to take the class and move it forward. I mean, he came down, he was like a green belt. He was not, he didn't come down as a black belt or like some major instructor. He was a student. He came down like, I think he was a green belt. We all didn't even have belts, and like Sensei Celestine was saying, that was not really the issue. The issue was to train and just get good. So he took over from there. Now, the knowledge I have is that there's a Sensei Haji who was in Antigua, and he used to train Cecil, and he used to train Johnny. So later on, we found out that Johnny was sent down in order to cultivate that martial art in GOUYAVE. So he, in actuality, he was the one that really carried on the training with us. You understand? He's the one that was there. He was the sensei in Grenada, training us and coming up to the class, and we going down to St. George's, training in GBSS and all them kind of thing. And then later on, he became Gary bodyguard, and he used to train the police force and all that kind of stuff. So he kind of he was not as dedicated way back, you know, later on in the game. So it was left to us to really keep up. So we had classes in GOUYAVE, in Clogier, in Florida, in Victoria, you know, all them kind of places. And we used to travel all them kind of places and walk most of the time, you know. We used to go down to town and train. And after class at night, we used to walk up from GOUYAVE, from town to GOUYAVE. Wow. So, you know, but nobody ever thought about it, you know, to say. But Johnny Madrid was the local sensei, the one that was there, and he opened up some classes in St. George's, and you know, Chicken and Nick and all these kind of guys were training down there in GBSS, and then we would go down every once in a while. On the wall behind Sensei Winston, there's a nice picture there, boy. I like that picture. That picture was taken right after we did a grueling, brutal grading by Don Jacob in GBSS. I mean, and I understand what you were saying about certain things, and I'm with you on that. But that is when, if you notice, I have a brown belt on there, and you know, some of the guys green belt and yellow belt and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was a grueling grading. That what you see that picture right behind Sensei there, and that's kind of how Johnny came into the picture. And then, you know, he received his grading. I don't know where, you know, I think and even today, he still trains with Purple Dragon, with a whole bunch of black belts, you know, Xi'an 7, 8, 9 degrees, something like that. And he looks good. He looks pretty good. And he kept up with the art. So that's kind of good. Again, it's the energy of GOUYAVE. You see, when you pick up something in GOUYAVE, you can't let it down. You got to keep it going.
Yeah, the energy of GOUYAVE and
yes,
martial arts in GOUYAVE. You know, I remember being on the outside, you know, and looking in. Oh, all the way, every one of those places that you mentioned, I could remember being around the area. I never got involved, but being around, boy, I'm telling you, because I grew up so soft and thing, boy. I say, what if I go and put myself in, you know what I mean? I might break a bone or something. You know, I grew up so soft, and you know what I mean? I remember playing football with them guys, and if my shin and desk clashes, I on the ground and them going with the ball, you know. So I say, I'm gonna put myself there, but I see man falling up, bump on the back, and you know what I mean? But anyway, you guys have persevered, and it shows what one is able to accomplish. As the program says, the opening song says, get out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of your comfort zone in order to aspire to these kind of levels and to accomplish the kind of thing that you all here have accomplished. Coach, so we see that you have put together this. No, before I go back to Coach, we hear of the different styles, the Shotokan and whatever else, and we hear about katas and so. Can you, senseis, explain to us the significance of the different styles and how one style, you know, vary from another? Is one style better than the other? You know, and what it is to do a kata? We hear Sensei Mai speaking about when they started to see the Shaolin movies and how it really demonstrated certain acts and certain approaches and so. Can you, any one of you, and I'll take it one by one, starting with Sensei Mai, coming back to you.
Okay.
You know, what is like, what's the significance of the katas and so on, and how does one style differ from another?
Well, okay, if we start with katas, for example, like in everything that you do, there is a basic precept, right? There's something that everything is based on. Katas in martial arts is basically that. It's a series of forms where you practice, like in boxing, you have shadow boxing. Well, in karate, you have katas. You go through a series of motions without anybody next to you, and it simulates your attack and defense against a perceived offense towards you. So katas in general is basically the foundation of martial arts, where you learn how to transition from one action to another, how to move from an offensive to a defensive, and how to anticipate. It gives you a sense of coordination and allows you to develop a muscle memory to where when you move from one thing to the next, you don't have to think about it. There is no time to think about anything in martial arts. It's supposed to be built in. It's reflexive, it's instantaneous. And that is kind of the difference. If you have to sit down and think about what you're going to do next, well, when you wake up from wherever, maybe in the hospital or whatever, then you're going to try to figure out how you got there. And I mean, that is not the, don't get me wrong when I say that. The whole idea of martial arts is not to be able to knock somebody out or that kind of stuff, or physical fighting. Martial arts is a discipline. Katas build that disciplines into you.
Okay.
Just like you have shadow boxing in the pugilist art of boxing. You know, you pretend and visualize somebody coming to you. So that is my view. I'm sure Sensei Winston could throw something on that, and Sensei.
Yes. Yeah. As for the different styles, what's the significance of the different styles? And is one style better than the other?
Did I go on that?
Yes.
Yeah, go there, brother.
Yeah.
What I usually tell people, you have what they call traditional styles and you have freestyle karate. Soca music for me is freestyle.
Okay.
Calypso for me is traditional.
Yes. Okay.
So there is no comparison for me.
Yes.
Leave traditional where it at and continue with the freestyle as you go along, because there is no basis. Everything you look at in freestyle basically come from the traditional. You know, it's one way you learn to drive. You stay on your side.
Right.
Some people don't know how to stay on their side, so they keep going from side to side. And this is why I say I don't really follow what Purple Dragon does.
Okay.
They go from side to side, because 1 minute you see them doing some Shotokan, 1 minute you see them doing Purple Dragon and then Donjutsu. Nobody from Shotokan, since I've been teaching, ever come and tell me, you know, you can't do that because you don't have the right to do so, because the Japanese people didn't give you the right to do that. The Japanese people is happy that you're doing that because you're spreading what they have. And Purple Dragon, you can't do that because the chief will come and tell you, well, you can't do that, even though you're paid to learn that. So if I pay to learn and I get my license, that you're telling me that I can't drive without you telling me when to drive. That is not something that I follow. And I stick with my Shotokan. My instructor is Shotokan personnel. He also heavily into weapon, swords, all the weapons he handles, right? A matter of fact, he will go to Japan and teach karate history in Japan. And he's an American, Haitian American, a matter of fact. You know?
Okay.
And when you see people like that, I mean, the first time I see this guy do something out of the ordinary, I remember in 1988, I brought him home by me here. I opened my beer and I gave him one. And I went to the kitchen to come back, and he handed me the cock, and the cock is in two pieces. I say, what happened, man? He said, I just tear it in two. I said, tear it in two? What are you talking about? So I gave him my own, and the guy just hold that and just tear it open in two. And I'm saying, well, if Don Jacob and them could show me that, man, I'll bow to them every day. But they don't have that. We have a bit of the physical, and I look at the mental a lot more than the physical.
A lot more than the physical.
Yeah, if we don't have the mental, as I was saying, we're not going anywhere. Because you'll kill a lot of people because you'll be angry all the time.
I know.
NAKA will know that.
Very well said. And I think Sensei Celestine, he would appreciate that very much too, because I remember him coming home certain times and seeing him do certain things. We had a sawmill, and you know what it's like when you're going to cut board from a tree. They cut the edges off to straighten it out, so you have these pieces of slab, as we called it. And I see this man breaking this thing with his shin, and and doing them kind of thing. What kind of levels, what kind of training, what kind of mental focus do you have to aspire to be able to accomplish this kind of thing, Sensei Celestine?
Takes both physical and mental, but it have to come to the point that you have to believe that you could do certain things, and mentally you have to be ready. You have to be able to do it to a certain point physically, because you have to develop that structure. You have to develop your bones. You have to develop that. But it's the same thing as like when you're fighting. Okay, when we were training to get a belt, you would fight, let's say 5 people. You're tired. Then the instructor will bring 5 more people to you. You have to have a choice. Are you going to run out of the dojo, or are you going to confront that 5 people coming? So you come out from that physical into that mental. You probably would not even know after you finish that or extra 5 people fighting, because you transcend from that physical to that mental. So it's the same as breaking. If you want to break something and you think of, oh, my hand's going to hurt me, then don't even try it. You have to see through that. You have to see through if it's 2 layers of board, you have to see mentally the 3rd layer. So in order for you to get from the 1st layer, you have to break the 3rd layer in order for it to get you. If you understand the other, then you will know what I'm talking about.
I get the concept.
So you have to you train all these years physically. Mentally, you're training yourself mentally, but sometimes you do not even know that you train yourself mentally until you come to that situation that you have to do it. Or that's when you use that key, that tandem, that you get that energy. Same as if somebody chasing you. A dog is chasing you, you don't want to get caught by the dog. You climb that fence, you don't know how you climb that fence. Now in martial art, you could pull that out when you're ready and push it back. If you understand that.
Yeah, I got you.
So that's really what it is. And I think a good martial art, as what Winston was saying, a good martial art is, even though you train on one particular style, okay, and you see the good in it, I personally also think that you look for the good in other styles. You don't have to follow the style, but you look for a certain thing good. The person might make a back kick. The way they do that back kick, then you put it into what you're doing and make it part of what you are doing.
Coach Naka, martial artist, author.
I know if after the Sensei and them dog, I wonder if I'm a martial artist now.
These are the senseis who are martial artists. These are the senseis, remember? These are the senseis. You're the martial artist.
Right? Okay. That's up and coming, because he's much better than I think he is.
He's the man that had to put this thing. Yeah, because I remember going by this man home, and he had a setup at the back of the house, I remember he had this injury. And he would, because he wasn't supposed to be doing no martial arts according to the diagnosis, you know what I mean? But there he was kicking bag and busting bag and doing all kind of stuff. And so I even feel he bust a few bag in the nutmeg pool and all kind of things. So
I remember when Mike put up that first
run on snow barefoot.
Well, coach, this comes right back to the issue, in a way, to the issue that we were speaking about very early in the game. Because there we see people who, with their degrees and whatever else, people who have been trained in the field of documentation and journalism and so, they are at the wit's end as to how do you get to that point of doing that quality of archiving, that this book, the energy of GOUYAVE, and to equal extent the basketball book that you had put out previously, in order to get to that point, to be able to accomplish something that you have been able to do. What is that mindset? What is that driving force that that brings about that? And what was it like for you during those times to be faced with the challenge that you were faced with, and to continue doing martial arts in the way that you've been doing? I mean, so much so we have Sensei Oliver saying that you, the man that used to be saying, "Man, come get up, we got training to do."
Yeah, that maybe that was my point. My thing is to wake him up. Yeah, that was my role there. But for me, martial arts have a sort of because I say what I do, even with the basketball, is martial arts applied. So it's like I'm applying martial arts. But for me, because I grew up fighting primary school, basically, I used to be fighting almost every day in primary school. And I think that is the point that a lot of people miss about martial arts, because martial arts is essentially the art of fighting without fighting. But a lot of people think when you do martial arts, really, you're trying to get better, to learn to fight more. At least that is what I went into martial arts for, because I thought I wanted to get better, because my thing was just fighting all the time. But as you get deeper into the martial arts, what it sort of teaches you, because it's a discipline, it sort of teaches you how to deal with conflict resolution. You sort of stay away somehow in there. The way the discipline is set up, you end up moving away from conflict instead of really getting into conflict. Even though at that time you would be much more proficient in terms of how to handle yourself, you move away from it. Now, one of the things to observe about martial arts, and we don't have it in the society, I mean, that much, is that martial arts, along with maybe some of the other religious practices and so, is that martial arts is to act as a sort of pressure valve. In other words, when you live in society as well, there's a lot of pressure, whether it's poverty, whether it's marginalization, whether it's whatever you call it. But martial arts sort of serve as a pressure release. In other words, you could open it and release the pressure. So you don't really you find that when we were in the martial arts, you don't find us when we're under pressure drinking. Like some people who turn to alcohol. Like when you finish work on a weekend, you drink alcohol to release the pressure, because all week at work and you just want to ease up. You just want to do something else. Well, for the martial artists, that is our pressure release. So you find with the discipline, we had to stay away from alcohol, stay away from smoking, stay away. All these things is part of the discipline. So even today, I still doesn't drink and think I could be. I'm high off of just my natural thing, just off of the training over the years or whatever. I don't even need to drink that to be, and I could just do stuff, go after stuff, like Reggie say, just continue to do things. But all that is based on the discipline that we learn and how we transition in us as we go forward. So I think that is a tremendous thing for us, because maybe if you look at our record, for instance, in terms of alcohol use, you realize over the years it has skyrocketed. Somehow we sort of take a nosedive a bit, because if we go out, we do have the prevalence. We do have martial arts schools all over the place. School, Canada School, I down in Douglaston, Pressy down in St. George, one way, and we had guys practicing in Florida, Victoria, Diamond, Sote, all over the place. But somehow that discipline, it's still there, but the pressure is not, somehow we're not releasing the kind of pressure that they used to before. So we find that a lot of people is looking for other ways and means to release that pressure. But martial arts used to do that for us in a lot of ways, sorry. And that is one of the things I was able to use in order to apply it to the basketball, for instance. So like Sensei Oliver was saying, is that the whole thing is your belief system. And that is something I spend a lot of time on, because I realize as a small country, occupied by other countries before. One of the things that happened to us is that erosion of your belief system, where you don't believe that you could compete with the rest of the other countries, you know, in the region. And people, somehow the people in the administration, I think they keep reminding you of you're not that good, you know. Oh, don't try to do that. We're coming up against Trinidad and Tobago, you know. Don't get off the beat with that. This is Trinidad and Tobago, or this is Barbados, or this is Jamaica. You're crazy. You can't run against, just settle for third or fourth place. No. So when athletes like Kirani James and them come through, or maybe Donald Pay when he beat Fred Newhouse, and when those things happen, we need to document it, and we need to get it in the schools, for instance, so that the children believe that they are capable of, because that is something that has been seriously eroded. And that is what martial arts has done for us over the years, and like I say, what I'm doing is sort of really applied martial arts, in that I'm able to transfer, especially that mental toughness and what goes with it into the basketball. But fighting, like I tell you, is my thing, and I used to be fighting a lot. But once I touched the martial arts, everything just changed for me. And we used to train like Sensei Celestine says. We used to train morning and evening. Sometimes we used to do what we call a 365 challenge. We sort of give it a name. I think me and Sensei Dabrio, Master Dabrio, did a lot of that, where you train every day for the entire year for more than 2 hours, right? And that is to be serious discipline, or you stay away from, let's say I like chicken, for instance, I'll stop eating chicken for the entire year, or stop eat mango for the entire year, things like that. I had a real problem with that, because after that, a man brought some ceylon for me, and I just had to watch it, and I just couldn't develop the appetite to eat it. But I'm glad I started to get back to it, so I could eat it. Yeah, so I could eat it now.
You mentioned, there's a couple of things that you just mentioned, and I want to zero in on that here. Conflict resolution. Yeah, I'll come back to the Donald Peer portion afterwards, but conflict resolution, and I want to get the Sensei's take on that too.
Sure.
How, seeing as martial arts, all of the physical action that goes with it really has to do with fighting. One will find that there's a discrepancy between that and developing a conflict resolution kind of mindset, okay? And the times that we're living in presently, we're seeing that there is very little tolerance, even among people who are supposed to be good friends, people who are supposed to be family relations. And you're seeing they're getting to the point where one takes the other's life over trivial things. How does that, what kind of lessons are there in this martial arts mindset? And is it possible for us to get some martial arts training back into our communities and into our societies to begin to address some of these issues?
Sensei.
Yeah, it's open. Sensei Mae, let's start with you on this one.
Okay. Now, remember, the principle of martial arts is not necessarily to go out and be able to kick somebody, or to punch down somebody, or to win a fight. Martial arts, at its core, is discipline, self-discipline, mind, spirit, and body, working together. The side effect of that, and I use side effect for lack of a better word, is that you develop a sense of confidence that people just don't come up to you, step to you. You're not looking, you're not trying to project anything, but there is a confidence. It's built in. You understand what I'm saying? And if you listen to what was said early on, you will see that everybody, like Sensei Celestine talk about how you have to condition the mind. it's a mental process. You know, you see through things. You develop an understanding of people because you have to understand your opponent, right? You have to understand how to calm things down. Since the author, NAKA says, NAKA says, the coach says that, you know, you have to, it's a mental thing, put it that way. Okay, it's a mental thing. And if we could get that into us. Now, one of the things while you was talking, that came across my mind is, if you look at all the guys that trained in and around the time with us in the dojo, and you could name quite a few, from Von Dyke and all them guys up from, you know, Dr. Bell and, you know, a lot of guys. Even you have Sensei Winston and, you know, even Sensei Oliver. I don't know if Sensei Oliver remember, but he was one of my first students that was able to get his foot to my face, you know. You remember that? No. Well, anyway. That was down in the old theater down in Down Street. Anyway, but the whole point here, if you look at all this, most of the students that, well, I could say almost all, because I would be hard pressed to find one. If you look at all of them, they are doing something in some fashion. Now you had Charlie Bull, that was one of the original guys, right? He have his sons doing racing, go-kart racing and stuff in England right now. You see how we take that sport, that discipline into go-kart racing. You have other guys who moved into something as it might not have been. Look at Baga Track. The man is one of the best musicians out there.
Top sound engineer too. Yeah.
Yeah, everything. Any instrument you put in front of him, he playing. Any, you know, songboard he could engineer and all that kind of stuff. He started doing martial arts with us. And even though they didn't stick in martial art necessarily, they moved into something, and that discipline pushed them forward. So it's not, and you talk about conflict resolution. It's a better understanding of people. Because I always say, as a martial artist, like Preshi talk about Masoyama. If you read about Masoyama, his school is the principle about breaking anything. These guys and them, they have that mental iron will. They could break anything you put in front of them. You know? And the whole concept, to me, in conflict resolution is just as easy as it is to take down somebody. You have to also know in the back of your mind, it's that easy for somebody to take you down. So when you go into the situation with that neutral situation, that, oh, I could take him, you also have to look at it that he might be able to take you. Just that easy. So when you go into that with that neutral situation, it's easy to diffuse, to resolve conflict by taking that position that de-escalates rather than escalates the situation. I mean, when you just, the danger with a martial artist is when you just start to train, because you want to try everything. So if a guy will step to you, you want to try a thing. You want him to throw a punch, throw something, because you want to practice that technique. You know, the same thing, you know, you could say that with police officers, right? They learn how to choke out a man. They learn how to use, you know, the PS92 and stuff like that, or what we call the tonfa in martial arts. And a lot of times you see they're beating up people. That is what's going on. They want to practice what they're teaching them in the academy. And it's natural. It's natural. I want to see that chokehold work, boy. So you go choke out a man even though you ain't doing nothing, because you want to actually see it work. It's the same thing with martial artists. But once you get past that and you develop the confidence within yourself, you find that you're not getting into anything and you're resolving things without even trying. Because of who you are, because of the way you position yourself, the way you approach situations. You know, you don't have to, sometimes you don't have to say nothing. You could just back off in a silence. You know, and the issue is done. It's the internal confidence that you get. You know, guys that has been there, guys that have gone and trained with other guys, bigger guys. A lot of confidence came to me when we trained with Sensei Jacob. You know, he had his way. You know, and you know, he had his style and his thing. But we were exposed to him, and you know, he had a lot of flash and a lot of stuff. Even here in the States, if you go to a Taekwondo class or you go to most of the classes here, it's a lot of flash, a lot of stuff that to bring you into the dojo. It's money, it's a commercial thing. And then, you know, after a while, you realize it's not going to very well. You know, it's not going anywhere because it's a commercial thing. You know, you do stuff that looks good. You know, but
yeah, I could add on to that with that confidence. I remember I had a situation, an incident where I was riding the train. Well, I have more than one incident. Now I could give you two. One, I was riding the train coming down from the Bronx, and it was kind of late at night, and this probably about 8, 9 o'clock coming from work, and this young lady was sitting on one side of the train, opposite side to me. And this guy, I don't know if he was drunk or I don't know if he was on drugs or he pretending, come and sit down by the lady, and he just put his hands on the lady's lap, and he get scared. So she saw me on the other side. She just get up and she come and sit down on the other side, on the side with me. And the guy came over, he looked me up, he looked me down, and all of a sudden he just walked away. And I did not even say anything to him.
The art of fighting without fighting, boy.
Exactly. There's another incident again where I was driving somewhere on the Eastern Parkway, and probably I was at fault. I give the guy a bad drive. So the guy that was in the passenger seat, he said, he used this Jamaican slang, you know, you so and so, you know, I feel to kick your butt. And I didn't see nothing real at the stoplight. So I just slightly opened the car door so it's not locked. And he looked at me, I looked at him, he get out of the car, and I make sure the door is a little open. And he just looked at me and he said, just go away. I said, you know, I told him, today's your luckiest day. He just told me and he went off. Going back now on conditioning, I remember that during the winter, when there was snow on the ground, first time I was introduced to that, we had to take off our shoe and run in that snow, because I thought I could have never done it because it's snow, it's cold. Why I do not, I realized that snow was not even cold. Mentally, we condition ourselves so good that snow actually become hot. We actually run for about 4, 5 blocks, and run back in the and come back in the dojo, wipe ourselves back and back to training. The next day, with the cold, it blister on your foot because of the cold. But I never felt it at all.
While you were doing
never felt it at all that day, you know. And that comes from the same conditioning. And up to today, with my kids, they know the things that I do, and I teach them like an example. And knock on wood, all of them today is very, very successful. I have from a judge, my first daughter, Celestine, you know how she was born in. Celeste is a judge. I have my second is a nurse / interior decorator. That was my next trade because I'm an upholsterer. Very good now. I have one a journalist. I have one that is IT, and the last one, which is 7, just on 18, should be graduating college next year. So I try to live by example for them, you know, and always make sure that I push them because they know the kind of person I am. You know, and so knock on wood, so far we're still going, and you know, determination, and as Naka will always say, get up in the morning, you have to get up. Don't tell me you can't do it. Don't ever tell me you can't do it. You don't want to do it, it's fine. But I know you could, because coming here, all you just use when I was, and that was one of the things when I martial art in the class up here, I would tell myself, I come from a very, very small island, but that ain't going to stop me. They're not better than me. They're not better than me. And I tell you, within that year, I was selected more than all of the students that was in that class for all this time. I was actually top of the one of the top that went to Japan.
Okay.
Twice, and even in the first year of my training, first year. So it's the same from the foundation where I started with my and all those guys, you know, still eating to you. You could do it, you could do it, you could do it. Keep at it, and you know, and and I have to thank those guys for that foundation.
Yeah. Sensei Winston, what has it been like for you in terms of getting to that stage, that's developing that conflict resolution component of the act within you, and how significant I mean, you live in Trinidad and we hear all those stories about Trinidad. What's it like for you living in an environment like that?
Well, NAKA know where I live, and I live in an area that is very, very high risk. But when I get up in the morning and I look outside and I see any one of the guys on the block, who I know a little dirty sometimes, and they will watch and say, Mr. Mike, because they usually call me Mike. They say, morning, Mr. Mike. I'll say, morning, how are you? How are you doing today? And this has been with me for about 40 years since I live in this area. I show everybody respect. I expect the same respect from you. And when I don't get it, I tell you about it. A couple of weeks ago, there was a young guy by me here. And I used to be talking to him, you know, because I realized he started to go a little drifty. And I said, what it is you want to do when you grow up, man? He had just stopped going to school. He said, I want to be a policeman. I say, how much passes you have? He said, I don't have any. I said, so why you don't go back to school and get it? He said, yeah, the teacher, the headmistress in the school, they tell me she's trying to squeeze me. And I say, well, if I was you, every morning I will be down by the school. Because that principal will realize that I'm so serious that she have to take me in. But that was just talk. So just about 3 weeks ago, he and another little one that I speak with here regularly, they went up in the east and tried to rob somebody. Left here early morning and going up in the east in a Rima to do that. And police end up catching 2 of them, but the little one, the smaller one who lives around here, he's still there. He got away. And the other one got killed by the police. So the little one who I speak to all the time, he trying to ignore me all the time, so he don't come down, he don't watch me, he tried to stay away. So I saw him yesterday. I said, come here, I want to talk to you. I said, you know what? You're hearing me, but you're not listening. I said, you know what? I wish the police had killed you. And he watched me and he kind of pulled back and I said, yeah. Then I wouldn't have to be talking to you again. He said, I said, look at it. I'm still talking to you and you're still doing the same nonsense. There is things that we learn as we teach people, and I don't know, it's something that just built in sometimes. You have to tell them when you see them going wrong. Sometimes I get a little fed up because I have one son here, biological, and I had a baby from Grenada that I adopted a couple of years ago. He had cerebral palsy, 100%. And that was like my child. Still is my child. And I show people that. You know, I have doctors who will call me and say, I have a lecture to do tomorrow. Come and do a speech for me. I have dentists who will do the same thing. I tell my kids, I have never been to a secondary school in my life. But I have people who will ask me to come and speak to their kids. I have rich people who I work for will prefer I see about their children than their own family. You know, so the discipline that we develop, sometimes, yes, I know Maya could tell you, man, look, having me climbing up on your shoulder to take off a light in the old cinema in the night when we finish training. It's a lot. I talk about that all the time. You know, I'll talk about Prashi in my class. I will talk about Sensei Dabrio. I will talk about NAKA. You know, a lot of people I will talk about, and I only talk about you because I really miss seeing you all. I miss being around. You know, but circumstances don't allow. But you know, hopefully the Lord have a way of doing things. You know, as I say, this baby I'm talking about, I have never seen his parents before. Never in my life. I was in New York when the hurricane passed and his father died, and he had us to come and do surgery here. My sister asked my wife for the mother to stay here. Happily, I came back before they came from Grenada because they couldn't get flight out. Baby was really sick. And I told her one day, I said, look, leave the baby here and you go back home. And when the baby feel better, we will take him, bring him to you or you come for him. And I keep him for a year and a half. And then I tell my wife, I say, I ain't sending this baby back and I'm going to keep this baby, man. And I kept him for 9. The Lord make me keep him for 9 years. And then he say, okay, time to come home. But he's still there, you know. And trust me, it's a lot of discipline to see about a baby like that, man. Because he couldn't do anything for himself. It's like me starting a karate class and I don't know anything, and the instructor have to show me how to put my foot, put my hand.
I remember seeing some of these from the outside. You know?
Winston, I have a touch of exactly what you just said there. I have 2 kids. Well, myself and my wife had owned a child care center with 150 kids.
Wow. Man.
And with a franchise. And the kids, the teachers used to end up being the bus driver, being the cook, being the psychologist, being everything for this kid. Because even sometimes the kids make a vomit on the floor, the teachers couldn't stomach it, they have to go and clean it up. But after we get rid of the center, we went into taking care of kids. So we had the first child we had, he couldn't walk, but he had the ability to walk. But whoever was taking care of him had him on a wheelchair. So we got him, the coach to the court, we get to take care of him. In a couple of months, we get him off that wheelchair and start walking. And the judge made a special case for us where the mother was getting back on her foot and she could have taken the kid, and she decided, no, let Oliver keep the kid with him. And that child stayed here with us for about 5 years. 5 years. After that, well, in the middle of that, we have another little girl at the age of probably 3 years, yeah. They found on the highway. And they knew us, they also call us the magic home. So they brought her to us. And the psychiatrist came to the house and he said, you guys cannot keep that child. Let her, send her back to wherever, in the home or wherever. We said, no, we're going to give it a try. And today, that child is probably 6 years with us now. I even take her to Grenada with me. That's one of the app. And it's a completely mental problem she has. But with the medication, we changed the room specially for her. All the lights, switches, put it at the top. And she's actually like a normal child with the medication, and for the matter of fact, we adopted her now.
That's fine.
If you was going to send her back, they was going to put her in a mental institution. We adopted her, and she knows me like the back of my hand. Yeah, and that we put up our life for her.
It's already good.
And the final one, we have this little boy. He was a runner. He used to run away, and that is my little one now. That is Noah. When we got him, the police know him by his first name because he used to run all over the place, running and getting away and running, and he just with on his leg, a track on his leg, a tracker, so they could track him wherever he go. When we got him in the space of 6 months, not even 6 months, about 1 or 2 months, he was student of the year, student of the month. And now, look at him now. If I open the door for him to run, he's running back inside the house. What Winston is saying, and the little girl, that is my little one, Zakaila, that's the little girl, Yeah, and she's mental. And I bring him, we brought him even all the way to Grenada.
Come to Grenada, yes.
He's a Grenadian now. He's been there twice now.
He's been there a couple of times, yes. I remember Noah.
You see, Mr. Paul? Mr. Paul.
Yes, sir.
This is what I'm saying about the book.
Yes.
The energy of GOUYAVE. You notice something that's running through everybody here. They're going that extra mile, going out of the way to do that extra thing.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? it's the energy of God. And that's why I'm saying it's not just a historical book with a bunch of pictures and a bunch of stories about a bunch of old guys that passed through the place a long time ago. It's something that will continue to drive people forward, and it just needs a little bit of guidance.
Yeah.
And if this martial art with the discipline could kind of get back in there, we could find that it'll pick up a lot easier. You know, because even here you notice parents love to send their kids to the dojo to learn karate or soccer. It's for the discipline.
Right.
And that is what we need now to get off the alcohol and get off the things that are going on in the place right now. And you hear the stories from Sensei Winston and Celestine about how they go out of their way to help people. And I could bet you that all of us have stories like that some way or the other. And that is the essence, the energy of driving golf. So I don't know if the coach had that in mind when he picked that topic, or it was just a Freudian thing. But that's the title for that book. Is an awesome title because it takes it way beyond archiving and stuff like a bunch of people putting a bunch of pictures in a box. This is a book that points out energy, something, a driving force, a esprit core of golf. You understand? And that is what you hear all these guys and them talking about right there.
Right.
You know, I want to give you a little story before you move on.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, after 40 something years, you know, we didn't see Cecil Joseph at all. And I came to Miami one time, and his sister Polita, you must know Polita.
Yeah,
I
very
said,
well.
well, what happened to your brother, boy? That man is the man that bring me to martial arts, and that man start a whole bunch of things. I had 40 something years, I don't know where that man is. She said, well, I don't know where he is, you know, but I have an email. I said, well, if you have an email, he might as well be, I know where he is. If you have, just give me an email, man. She give me the email. I sent out an email, and I say, I bet you don't remember me, but yeah, and I give him the story. Within 5 minutes, I get an email back. You know the man living 10 minutes up the road? The man living 10 minutes up the road from me. So I tell him, I say, where you are? He tell me where he is. I say, where I am. Within a matter of minutes, the man pull up on my door.
Right.
And right there, we sit down and we spend the whole day together.
Yeah, that must have been a special moment. Yes.
You kidding me?
That must have been a
and for
special
years, moment. Years after that, we close together and everything else, and we just rehashing all the old days and learning different things. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. But how we talk about that's one way we could keep in touch. And the world is small now. You have Zoom. Paul is in Grenada. NAKA is in Grenada.
Yes.
Winston is in Trinidad.
Yeah. John Callis is in Canada.
Celestine is not too far from me, a couple of hours.
Yeah. John Callis is in Florida.
And look at, and I'm in Miami.
Yeah,
I'm in Miami. And look at this. We all right here.
Yep. So, Coach NAKA, we see that the book speaks about, yes, we have this venerable gentleman here with us this afternoon. Master Dabrio, as you said, he has a situation to deal with, so he's unable to join us. But there are a host of other people who come in for special mention in the book. Do you, are there any ones in particular that you want to touch on as to, their contribution and the role that they play within the martial arts fraternity in Grenada? Those who are still active, who have moved on, you have Dave Cowan, who is overseas. Is he still active? Is he still involved? And some of the others. Can you speak to that?
Well, who we have here today on the Zoom is you could call them the foundation or somebody head honchos in terms of the martial arts. Who we have practicing at present is Ryan Lewis. He's also from GOUYAVE. He has he's associated with Don Jacob's Don Jitsu program. You have the Master Dabrio is still in St. George's. You have this Kung Fu guy related to Patrick Stricker. For his son, I think he's a member of the police band. He does some Kung Fu as well. So he's from GOUYAVE still. And then you have a number of people that Master Dabrio would have taught over the years. So you have like the Gil and couple of the other guys from St. George's, they have classes. You have the Taekwondo Master Melvin Coutin and a couple others who you have Sensei Claudette Joseph, and they run the Shotokan Karate Association in Grenada. So we still have a number of people. Oh, you also have this Wushu school at the Tam CC. I think the Belfon guy from St. Max, I think he maybe is the leader of that grouping as well. So we still have a number.
Sensei David Lewis, which school has he been associated with?
David Lewis was in Shotokan with Claudia Joseph and him.
Okay.
Yeah, he was there, but now he's sort of, because of health conditions and stuff, he doesn't practice as much as before. Okay. But he was there as well. So these are some of the people that I mean, they came from, because we started, I think around 1972, so if Sensei could remember, I think it's 72, because that is where the foundation of the Shotokan Karate really started, and I made sure and send it to Tisga Chase and some of the other Shotokan practitioners to let them know, at least they could get some of the history live, not you know what I have in the book, because sometimes people tend to dispute, they can't believe that the martial arts really started in Guam. They thought maybe, you know, right, pulling a fast one on them. Mm-hmm. So it's important that Sensei and them come out and, you know, sort of clear the air in terms of understand exactly why we did the martial arts, the reason for the martial arts. And like Sensei was saying, from the martial arts has changed up a bit. He has gone, you know, a little bit commercial and stuff like that. But like I say, it's really a pressure release for us. And if we could get it going, if we could get, like in my case, I do martial arts, but I do martial arts work on martial arts applied, where that aspect of it is transferred to the basketball. And basketball as a sport fitted nicely for us, because you could only win or lose in basketball. People not aware of that. You don't really have a draw like in some of the European sports. So it fit nicely into the scheme of things, because like since you were saying up front, you know, you can't even stop to think. You have to feel. And it's the same thing. If you fail to function at your optimum in the game of basketball, then you're going to lose it. So if you put it in a life and death situation, it means if you're not living, you're going to die for sure. So, and he also said something that is sort of synonymous with the whole question of, I think since Celestine talked about that, the whole question of spontaneity, the ability to sort of, people think it's what they call reacting from gut. You know, you get a gut feeling, as if the gut feeling is not your feeling. You know, but you compose 99% of who you made up, what you're made up of, is in your unconscious state. Really, a lot of stuff that is going on with you is unconscious. But the thing is that you have the ability to training to sort of pull that spontaneous action, you know, from within you. And that is what the martial arts has helped us in more ways than that. I mean, it takes some training to do it. It's not something that is easy to do, but it can be done, because like all the senseis and them we have today has said, it's possible for you to do that, but it's not an easy skill. But if one could possess that skill where they could just pull at that spontaneity anytime they're ready for it, and utilize it in any way, whether it's in sport or business or anything. I mean, it's a tremendous, I mean, what I should say, a tremendous asset that one could have, and it's something that we sort of played about, you know, in the martial arts, and the martial artists, you know, sort of bring that to the fore in a serious way. But these are some of the things that people, I think, they tend to overlook when it comes to the martial arts, and how we have progressed. Like Sensei Sutherland has said, if you look at the people that would have practiced martial arts, somewhere along the line they've been robbed, you know, by this, what you call it, energy, the energy, as we move forward. So yes, we could do a lot of things, unbelievable things that we're capable of doing. But like I said, the belief system was eroded, and that is one of the ways that maybe we could sort of build it back, not only in karate, but it could spread throughout the other sporting disciplines in the country.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's amazing how time tends to fly when you having certain types of conversations, you know. Would you believe
I wonder if it's because of the tune you played earlier.
because of the tune, you don't need no wings.
Yeah, all right, okay. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Coach, I tell you something.
Yeah.
Selecting that tune was kind of deliberate in the context of what you've accomplished here, and also in the context, in putting this together, and
that is we.
And also in the context of the basketball, which you've mentioned, that you've brought in martial arts to the basketball, and the kind of victories that you've had over the years, and being able to keep that team as the optimum basketball team in the country, and being able to contribute to the lives of so many through the basketball. I mean, we had your team, your basketball crew with you here, and I mean, we had only one person who got scholarship through that medium, but there were many other people who were mentioned. You have Dr. Smith, right, who indicated the kind of discipline that he engendered as a consequence of being associated with the Sparklers basketball fraternity. You know, you had your young Mr. Taylor also speaking of that, and so on. So it's really significant that you've been the man to beat. Sparklers has been the man to beat, and people have been coming out and doing all sorts of shenanigans trying to beat Sparklers, and they have not been able to do so. So you know, it's indicative of the man who you really
they have won against us. You know,
well,
so.
yeah, winning is not beating you. You know what I mean? You win.
Okay.
You know, you win a battle. You know, but I mean, in the context of the war, that don't really strike nothing. It don't really strike a major chord. You know. So as we come to the final few minutes, I want to make the rounds with our guest, my eminent guest, and starting with the master himself, the man who put
the
all
original.
of this
the original, the original.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine, right? Could you imagine if Sensei Joseph had passed through? He made his guys doing this thing, and he come and he talk and he go. And as Sensei Winston say, he just went through one ear and went out the other ear, and they didn't do anything about it, right? If Maya didn't take the lead, you know, and really begin to do something constructive with it and to get other people involved, you wouldn't be having these stories that you're having. That's been told here.
He didn't have a choice. He didn't have a choice.
Probably not.
He had to do it. Yeah.
Some final remarks from you, Sensei Michael Sutherland, and what would you like to see going forward in that GOUYAVE energy environment that you've left? What would you like to see going forward in terms of, as I said earlier on, coming back to addressing this intolerance that we now experience among ourselves as a people?
Well, let me say this first of all. It's been a pleasure to be here. I thank you for having me on. I think that's a wonderful thing. It was great seeing Sensei Winston and Sensei Preshi, and even you, Mr. Paul. Great seeing all these folks. And
your partner left us earlier this year.
Well, the court. Yeah, I know. Chester. Yeah, I know. Right.
I remember your first motorbike was from him.
Boy, that BSA boy.
Big 3S, man. That
Herbie.
Herbie.
NAKA could give some stories about Herbie. Anyway, well, I keep up with the coach a lot. We close, and we've been close for 40 something years, almost 50 years, from as far back as I could go. And what I'd like to see first of all is maybe, the coach put a couple more projects. In that now we got a couple under his wings. Now we could fly with the rest and put out a couple more good books, maybe touch the academics from GOUYAVE and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that coming, man. That coming.
Right. I would love to see really, sport taking a more prominent part. in GOUYAVE especially, because GOUYAVE is a place that put out some serious sportsmen. If you look at that book, across the 21 sports talked about in that book, you will see the kind of guys and the level. The coach of our favorite, Peter Pounder, you know, going back to the days of the Marquez brothers, you're talking about Dolaf, you're talking about, you know, all those guys that played soccer and cricket and all them games. You had guys that play a level of draft and stuff that is just out of this world. So we have chess. You have a lot of different things and a lot of sports that we need to bring back, because you don't see too much of that right now in golf. And if a lot of the young kids could get involved with that sort of discipline, it'll keep a lot of them out of the street, out of the alcohol, and the things that tend to just break down the human condition. And sometimes it pains me to see, you know, like sometimes I come to GOUYAVE and I see people and, you know, they come and they say, hey, teacher Mike, you know, or Sensei or whatever. And I'm looking at them, I say, well, I know that person. And then when the person tell me who they are, I'm going like, oh my God, what? I have to keep my face straight, because, you know, like they look like, I could call them daddy or grandfather or something. They're way older than me. So, and it's because, and again, you know, I'm not saying that they are, you know, it's just a situation. You know, when you don't have a valve, the pressure valve that Coach Naka talked about a while ago to release. We had martial arts. That was our high. You know, that's what we got high on. Martial arts. Training, getting better. Whereas you have, today you have guys, they get high on a whole bunch of different things. So I would love to see a more constructive approach to sporting events brought back. Martial arts, I would always be partial to martial arts, because the discipline in martial arts is just something that could translate into wherever you want to go. You could take that with you, because a discipline you could put into go-kart racing, to being an author, to
Tell me about it.
to being an upholsterer, you know, design or whatever, to be, you know, a sensei. Sensei Winston is carrying on the art, and Sensei Dabrio, Master Dabrio, is carrying on the art and stuff like that. So we could, you know, it would be nice as the older heads kind of fading out. You know, we could see some of the younger guys who, you know, and I have a particular pride in when I look at, say, Sensei Celestine Oliver Pressy. You know, I could say this is a man that came from the original class. So that's a continuation. Master Dabrio, an original man. Sensei Winston, an original man. This is like the class continuing to grow. And I'm sure when all the students that he teach, he would be saying, you know, that's still the same original class moving forward. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is where it came from, and there's an unbroken chain still carrying on. And that is good. I would just love to see more young people in GOUYAVE especially, and because, you know, I'm a GOUYAVE man, I would love to see more young people getting involved in disciplined sports. You know, martial arts is always a good place, but if that's not their thing, you know, whatever sports, and take that discipline into life.
All right. Yeah. Sensei Winston, nice having you, nice meeting you after all of those years. I mean, in spite of the fact that we're meeting virtually, nice connecting with you again. Any final words? What would you like to see?
What I would say, hoping that this virus thing will go away soon, that I could come home. Pressy, I hope you're going to be home when I come. I'm
a retiree now, so
I just reached it, but what I should say, I refuse to do that.
I don't blame you.
I'm into the build cupboards and things.
Oh, you do.
You there, do paint and things like that. So I still keep going. You know, I love keeping busy. But I say I really miss home. I could really do it home for a couple of months. Well, I would love to start up a class in golf.
Yes.
If I could get somebody seriously to, you know, they could come back and forth and train and go back. I wouldn't mind doing that. There was a guy who was running a class NAKA in St. Rose Convent last year.
Yeah.
He was in contact with me, but I don't know what kind of guy he is, man. Sometimes he talk to me, sometimes he don't.
I guess he lacking the discipline. We gotta talk about
We
that
gotta get
again
some discipline.
and
Yes,
see how we
I
can put it
know.
together.
Right, right, yeah.
Especially nice seeing
Yeah.
everybody, and as I say, I hope soon we will meet in the physical. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
Physical. Look,
All right.
God is
Yeah.
good.
All right. Sensei Celestine,
Yeah.
well, I know you're a man, you're always home and so, but it would be a good thing if Sensei Winston and yourself and whoever else can connect here at one particular point in time and be able to get something up and running again. Yeah?
Should I say to any one of you all coming into Trinidad, just let me know, man.
All right, we'll do.
Anytime, just let me know.
All right, yes.
Okay, well,
Yes.
it's an honor and a blessing, you know, to have that show, and it's a real privilege that I'm part of it, you know. But I hoping also that going back to Grenada, I could start something, you know, to teach something, either with the upholstery, because right now I'm not boasting. I'm very, very good from when I started. I started with just on the machine. For instance, in Grenada, when I started upholstery, they didn't send me to learn upholstery. They sent me to learn joiner. And I find the dust, they give me the first piece of wood was a cedar wood, and the dust went in my mouth, and I said, no, that's not for me. So right next to that was Dabrio, and right next to was Charlo, Coughlin Charles, who had a thing there. And I went in there and he took me in, and that's it. And I love upholstery. And coming up, when I came to the States again, somebody introduced me to a company. I went there, and it came back again to the termination. The first day I went on the job, there was a Cuban guy who did not want me to work. Didn't want me to work, and the boss fired me the end of the day. The next day I came back to the boss and I said, listen, this guy didn't give me a fair chance. And I stayed on the job for about 15 years or more. I said, no, you're not going to get me fired. I came back and they kept me there. And I moved up from just being on the machine to learning other things. And there was one time on the job, this contractor was giving work to the job, and my wife came and she said, you know, you're giving this guy the job, the company that job, and look at all the way he could do the work. And through her, I left the job, and this guy started giving me all the work. So I ended up doing work for name brand people, for Seinfeld, for Howard Stern, for Lisa Bonet, you know, Bill Cosby, and a lot of, you know.
I have some chairs here for you to fix for me. So when you
I'll make you brand new.
Okay, all right.
The man, you know who the man say you working for?
Yeah, I say Seinfeld. I don't have a sign down in the gap, so I say Seinfeld. I thought, okay, all right.
Yeah, so back to when I get to Green, I would really like to teach something. Either go back to martial arts or teaching the trade. You know,
or both.
Keep the kids off the street, because I really like to do that. It's in me to always trying to give back as best as I can, trying to give back to where I come from.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Coach Naka.
Yes.
Author. Martial artist.
Arthur is my brother-in-law.
You know, mention was made, that clip that I played, out of that conversation, Gotti made special mention of Donald Pay. He mentioned him as one of the best athletes, that is well-rounded athletes, because during that time, he could have run the 4, although he was really a marathon runner. He would run the mile, he would run the 4, he would run the 100, he would
run the 8, he could run the 200, he could run the 3,000, he could run 5,000.
He said he is about the best athlete, local athlete that he's ever known. And I mean, and that sort of, that chronicles that energy that you know, that Senator Sutherland has been focusing on coming
Yeah,
out of the title, the title of the book.
yeah,
You know,
you really beat up on the title into that. And he said
what,
I don't know, he put some philosophy and stuff in it, talking about feuding and stuff. I guess I got to go back and study. But it's something you
work and
just
study.
yeah. Well, I need to.
Well,
I get.
I get it. What impression you giving me? I get this philosophy and them from you every day, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many times a day? You know what I mean?
I have
All in my
books here every
sleep
time
and thing.
I just read stuff from the book and then call you.
And then call me, yeah. So tell us,
Yeah.
what's next from that energy? What is that energy, you know, intended to bring to us? And from the conversation here, I'm seeing that, you know, when these men, based on what we have been involved in, when these men do come, I'm seeing, you know, the prospect for us taking that to some of those challenge areas that we've been discussing, and so.
Sure.
And seeing how we can begin to make a difference. So, your closing remarks here, Coach.
Well, yeah, I'm glad again that you know that you know you're able to put this program together. It's really, I mean, a joy for me to see SENSEI again. I mean, we talk, you know, about like Kenny Company, Pershi, and SENSEI Winston. Is a pity Master Dabro is missing from you know, but it's really good because SENSEI is the one that because I had ducked out from the free because I used to be up front more when I used to be coaching in the early times, and then with all the drama and all the stuff and the fighting, and so I sort of jump out of the barrel and I left the rest of the crabs in there to fight, and I just take a back seat. And lately SENSEI has been saying, you know, you need to come out front and you know at least come out and you know talk some more, man. Let people and things. So I'm trying to do that. It's a sort of a struggle, but it's good that you're there hosting, I mean, to help me in that regard. So at least people get an appreciation of, because I look at a lot of things and people, not only, I mean, for us in GOUYAVE, but the thing is, when you stumble into something, like what happened in Egypt, for instance, you wonder why the rest of Africa was not able to capitalize on what went on in Egypt. But you find that the people came, the conquerors came from way across in the West, came in, they took all this stuff, went back with it, and then they started to say they started civilization, and they started this, and they started that, and what have you, what have you. And we say now that here is a tremendous opportunity for people from the other parts, even though we compete, and you know, even though we compete against each other, but here are some a group of people, a group of persons, somehow, like SENSEI say, somehow maybe we get hit by the energy or we absorb the energy. How it happened, we cannot say exactly what happened, but it seems to be happening over and over in this lands, GOUYAVE, or what you call Parish of St. John. And you know, it's something that people could take from, but you know, sometimes for whatever reason, people feel if you talk about it that way, maybe you're boasting, you're thinking, and they don't want a part of that. They want to. It's good that for you to go out there and do it on your own, but there are some rudimentary or fundamental steps maybe that you sort of pick up from us and move on in terms of the martial arts. And I'm hoping that, you know, as they go forward, people would see it in that way and don't see it as if, you know, we're trying to boast up GOUYAVE with what we have. I mean, we have it. It's not a question that we're boasting, but we just let it our people know that there are stuff that they could use from what went before and take it to our next level. And I think basically that is what we're trying to say, not only in the martial arts, but in the other sports. So I'm hoping, you know, as we move forward, that people will see for what it is and take it and run with it, you know. And let me say thank you again to
before you close out the energy of GOUYAVE, well, tell us, where is the book available, you know, and stuff like that.
It's available. We have some at like at the National Stadium, that is Grenada Physiotherapy and Pain Relief Center. You have at the bookstore in the mall, that is At and Soul. I have copies here with me, and they sort of moving out slowly, but they're moving out. So and then we have it on Amazon as well. I mean, I was hoping that we could have a sort of Grenadian connection in the diaspora, where they could have made that money themselves by me sending the books there, and they would be able to connect and do the transaction. I mean, you know, I thought the post office would have a similar depot or something, but it doesn't have that. So we had to send it there. And Amazon is making, making the money off for us. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing I could do about it unless we could have gotten people in the diaspora, hoping as we move forward that would happen and you would see more Grenadians in the diaspora coming together and putting, themselves together into grouping so that could benefit the country going forward, And but
Yeah,
so that is where it's
that's
available.
that's another conversation that we have to have more of.
Well,
We've
you will
start,
take
yeah, yeah,
you will
we've
take
started that conversation. Yes, because the
yeah,
diaspora is seen basically as remittances,
yeah,
and we believe that the diaspora can do significantly more
sure.
than exists presently. You
Yeah.
know?
So thank you once again for
Yeah,
having us on
yeah.
behalf of everybody, on behalf of the martial
Mm.
arts.
If I could
Well,
say
thank
one
you.
thing before you
Yeah.
leave,
Yes, sir.
I will tell anybody who born in Guave, grew up in Guave, and want
Mm-hmm.
to know more about Guave,
Mm-hmm.
to really get that book, man, because
Yeah, that book. Yes.
I asked Naka the first day I got the book and I read it, and I not only with the karate,
Yeah.
there's a set of guys like Marquez and Ligau and these guys, man. I started to forget
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just reading the
Yeah.
book and seeing these guys and then man
Yeah,
just
he bring everything back. Yes, yes, I know.
rewind.
Mm-hmm,
You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
It's really a healthy book
mm-hmm,
for somebody who maybe family come from Guave and they don't know much about Guave, man. It's something that you should have. I will encourage everybody who coming from the St. John's area to get something like that, man.
right,
It's
right.
really a healthy something.
Yeah. And in closing, I want to say, although it's the energy of Guav, although the focus is on people who would have come out of Guelph because of the nature of many of the events that took place, many of the activities. You had participation from people outside of the parish that come in for mention in the book, whether it's in martial arts or in the field of football or in the field of athletics, that they have cycling or whatever, they have come in for mention in this book. So although it reflects the energy of God, there are, excuse me, there are significant people that's well known out there that's been involved in sporting activities that come in for special mention in this book. So it's not just a chronicle; it's extended. It is much more extensive than just Guave, and it really demonstrates how much Guave has been a center of so many of the sports and so many of the sporting events, how it attracted some of the top participants and some of the top competitors in the different sporting disciplines and so over the years. So I want to thank you for making the Comfort Zone that special show, bringing that special to the Comfort Zone here today. I want to thank Brother John Calise for allowing me that opportunity because it's just amazing how this thing has unfolded in this COVID-19 period, with me being able to do what I am doing here, something that I had never really done before, and being offered the opportunity to do this on Gem FM, John Calise, based in Canada, a man that I have never met personally in my life. Can you imagine that? I know all of all you personally. Me never meet John Callis. Right? Me and John Callis connected virtually. I was introduced to him. I became a panelist on his talking point, which I've been hosting for him while he been facing his challenges. And he offered me to do this show here, the Comfort Zone.
You met him.
So,
You met
and
him.
so,
But you met him. We not only
we
physical, we not only physical,
we not
we
only
spiritual.
physical.
No, we spiritual too.
Yes,
So
yes.
you met
And
him, man. You're connected, yeah, you're connected.
So thank you. And I mean, it was
Yeah,
really a
sure.
pleasure being in the company of such eminent personalities, in the field, I mean, among greatness here this afternoon. Precious, say hi to Sister Dale for me, please. Sorry, Russ. Yes.
Thank you much, Proctor.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much as well. Yeah.
All right, Brother
And take care,
John.
man. Yeah.
Winston,
Yes.
I'll connect to you soon.
Hey?
Hope I'll see you.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right.
Yes,
Take
man.
care,
All the
Sensei.
best.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Sensei.
All right.
All right. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much again, Pablo. Wonderful show,
man.
and I know that it was an informative one again, and I really appreciate all of you. And I want to say something to you guys. When I mean, in the army, we were doing martial arts, self-defense, most of it, and just to protect the ministers that we work with. And after we came out of that 1983 situation, we were doing Shutokan, and I learned the different styles and form and all kinds of stuff like that. Even though we did a couple katas in our training, I got more in-depth training from Humphrey and Z, those guys from Brunch Grove. There was I think Humphrey used to drive Morris. Yeah, he used to drive Morris, and so here was I think Chicken was their teacher before my time. So here we are today. I'm listening to you guys and just thinking that the people I never met were the people who was the forerunners. The whole martial arts stuff in Grenada. So I'm so happy to have come to know you guys that way, virtually. As Pablo was saying, we never met, but we met virtually. I'm going to meet and make new friends like you guys now. I know now. When I hear you guys' name, I could relate to who you guys are. And I was just Winston. I was listening to you there, and we are in the same craft. I design kitchens and I finish kitchens. I work for a company for 12 years here doing finishing of kitchens, shipping to the United States and so on. So I'm in the finishing business of kitchen. I have my own kitchen company, Genesis Fine Kitchens. So I do finishing and stuff like that. Yeah, that was it. I didn't learn it in Canada though. I learned it in Grenada. I just spruced up my skills, out here.
Is when I was coming to Trinidad, Hensley Ned told me, say, when you get over there, don't come back here, man. 3 weeks after I was here, ready to come back home. Something telling me, boy, Ned said don't come back, boy. Ned said don't. I just stay here, man. That's it,
Yeah, I have a friend who said he was going to Trinidad, and he said you only stay in there are 17 days. You see, within 17 days, if thing bad, I spend 17 days. If thing good, I'll be taking another 10 years. So yeah, he stayed for a long time and came back, and I think he left in 1979 and came back around 1989 or somewhere around there. So he stayed a long time. Yeah, but again, thank you guys so much, man. Baga is on the thing. They give you guys some thumbs up.
Oh, Baga, yes. Okay.
Teddy Grant. There's a number of people. I want to just mention them to you because you guys wasn't seeing them. Teddy Grant, Justin Oliver, people that you guys may know. San Deputy.
Lincoln's been there too. Okay.
Toro.
Yeah.
That's Toro. Yeah, man. Good
Jay,
afternoon, Toro. Pablo, yeah.
Hogan Oliver, Sharon Oliver.
That's my kids.
That's
okay.
Okay.
Right. Watching Daddy, Sonia Markley, and the crew. So yeah.
Sonja, yes, Sonja is always there. Good afternoon,
Right.
Sonja.
All right, guys. Again, thank you very much, Pablo.
No
right,
problem,
then.
Mr. Kelly. Thank you very much for
sir.
having us.
Peace.
All right,
Alright.
then.
It's been
Thanks.
an honor, man.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Take
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.
Naka will check. We'll chat.
Yes, sir.
All right, then Winston later. Mike later.
All right, later.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
Mr. Sutherland.
Yes, sir.
All right, one love, man.
One love.
But in the get out of your comfort zone. In life there will be challenges, testing whether you weak or strong. So don't let obstacles deter you. Just shake up yourself and move on, I tell you. Out of your comfort zone. You know that life is a mixture of the good, the bad and ugly. So don't stress yourself over issues that won't change your reality, I tell you. Out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have greatness in you. Yes, you have greatness in you. I know that you have greatness in you. Oh, oh, oh. You have greatness in you.
Yes, you got greatness in you. This is Gem FM. I'm your host, the Sheriff. Yours truly, John Kelly's. And you can listen to us 24 hours right here on Gem FM. Just go to www.gemfm.com.